Hi, hello and welcome from wherever you join me today. Yes, it's me again, Jim Black from the Three Hats Stage Media channel, trying to bring entertaining content media for all the world's stages. This is a Pause for Thought edition where I review one of my favourite movies and see what messages we can take from it and how we can use those insights in today's busy lives. All the movies I review come from over the past several decades, some you may know and some you may not. They come from a book or screenplay, have a great cast and a fantastic soundtrack. As you can see from the lightbox, today's movie is no exception. It's Notting Hill from 1999, which I believe was a Prince song. The screenplay is by Richard Curtis, and he's written things such as Love Actually, 4 Weddings and a Funeral and Mr. Bean. There's an all-star cast. Julia Roberts plays Anna Scott, and my recommendations from her movie past are Mystic Pizza, Steel Magnolias, Erin Brockovich, and of course Pretty Woman. Hugh Grant plays William Thacker, and if you've seen my reviews before about a boy, you know he plays Will in that as well. The supporting cast of Rhys Ifans, who plays Spike, the housemate. He was in The Boat That Rocked, another Richard Curtis movie. And Tim McInerney, he plays Max, and he was in All the Blackadders. Again, Richard Curtis, what a brilliant writer. The rest of the cast are Gina McKee, James Dreyfus, Emma Chambers, and Lord Grantham himself, Hugh Bonneville. So I ask, is it right? Does status matter, no matter who you are? And are we all looking for our dream Gilda to become our reality? Let's get into this movie review and find out. If two people get on, should status really matter? After all, affairs of the heart are a completely different thing, because we're all equal at the end of the day. It's usually people around you that want to change things, or the circumstances in which your life is. We're going to follow William and Anna and their journey, from a chance meeting to a relationship that builds, the twists and turns and the ups and downs along the way. Does their status matter? Because one's from one walk of life and the other's from another. Gilda, however, the dream that you have, should always be your reality. And let's see if that works as we follow the story throughout this movie. So it's a modern day love story between two people from different walks of life. You've got William Thacker, who runs a travel bookshop in Notting Hill, and you've got Anna Scott, the famous movie star, who lives in Beverly Hills. She goes into his shop one day when she's on one of her days off because she wants to book on Istanbul, which I think is where she's going on holiday or something like that. There's an interesting conversation between the two of them because he spots that it is Anna Scott. He suggests that that book would be better than that book because I think that that author has actually been to Istanbul. And there's also an interesting anecdote about a kebab. They say a few more things to each other, she buys a few books and off she goes. Will decides he needs a drink, so he goes out to the cafe to get coffee and orange juice. Coming out of the cafe, he meets Anna Scott again, but a little bit different this time because he bumps into her and spills the orange juice all over her. She's furious with him, as you can imagine. He takes her back to his house, which is behind the big blue door, about 18 yards away, where she gets changed into some of the things that she's bought. He apologises over and over again, and off she goes. There's a knock at the door. It's Anna Scott again. What is going on? Well, she's forgotten the books that she bought earlier. She left them in the kitchen. She comes in, he gets the books, they stand talking. Spike turns up, the housemate. He's oblivious to it all, doesn't realise it's Anna Scott and just walks past them. She leans over and kisses Will, which confuses him completely. She opens the door and off she goes. After a few days, Will asks Spike, has there been any messages? To which Spike replies, he's not a message service, and yes there has, Anna Scott rang. He rings her immediately, and she invites him over to the Ritz for tea, which sounds nice. When he gets to the Ritz, however, there's a film junket going on, one of those things where there's all the actors in different rooms, and you have to go around and interview them. Will pretends he's from Horse and Hound, and in one of the conversations, he asks why there's no horses in this particular movie, Helix. To which he's told it's set in space, but obviously Will had not seen the movie, so he wouldn't have known. Towards the end, he sees Anna again and invites her to a party that evening that Max and Belle are giving in honour of Honey, his sister, because it's her birthday, and Bernie will be there as well. We go to the party, Anna turns up, they can't believe it's Anna Scott. It's a great scene, there's some great comedy in it, and Honey believes that it's always been destiny because now she is best friends with Anna Scott, the most famous actress in the world. After the party, Will takes her back to the hotel. And on their way, they pass one of those gardens, you know the type, that's in London. It's surrounded by houses. It's all locked up at night because it's private to those houses only. Anna climbs in. Will has to follow her. They walk around the garden and they stand staring at a bench, which will become relevant later in the movie when I tell you about it. But it's dedicated from one person to another, and the idea is that you sit on it and remember things. Back at the hotel, Anna's boyfriend's turned up. So again, Will has to disappear, and is at the end of that. After some time, Anna turns up at the blue door again, knocks, opens the door, and Will invites her in. She's upset, she's distraught. The papers have got hold of some pictures from her past that she didn't want releasing, and she's split up with her boyfriend. Will asks her to stay forever. She agrees. They got on really well, but as you know, I said it's twists and turns and ups and downs, and Spike, however, has decided to let the press know that Anna's staying there. She can't cope with this, and off she goes again. This leaves Will completely bemused. He doesn't know what to do. After all, she's the greatest actress in the world, and he just runs a bookshop. Next is one of the greatest movie scenes ever. It's where William is walking through the Notting Hill market, and we see all the seasons change. And if you look very carefully, there's a lady that's pregnant at the start, and at the end, she's got a little boy with her. It goes to the tune of Bill Withers and Ain't No Sunshine, and it shows spring, summer, autumn, or the fall for the American viewers, and winter. It gives the idea that time has passed, and it's been a long time since Will and Anna have been together. We find out that Anna's come back, and she's filming a Henry James on Hampstead Heath. Henry James is a great writer, by the way, if you ever want to pick up one of his books. And it's something that Will suggested to Anna instead of doing all these space movies like Helix. Will goes to see her, he hears some things he doesn't want to hear, and he goes. The next is another great movie scene where Anna turns up at the shop again with a present for him. The present's a painting that he's always liked, and I'll tell you about that in a bit. There's a famous line, I'm just a girl standing in front of a boy, asking him to love her. But, you know, Will being Will, he's been through a lot, and he turns her down. So after Anna leaves the shop, Will goes to the restaurant to tell his friends the decision he's made. While they're sat there talking about things, Belle says, is that the original painting? Will says, yes, I believe it is. The painting, by the way, is by Marc Chagall, and it's La Mariée, which means the bride, and it depicts a bride floating through space with a cello playing goat. Why would it not? Anyway, Spike turns up. He says Will's made the decision wrong and he must rectify it. So off they race across London to try and stop what Will's done and make everything better. Will they do it? You'll have to see the film to find out. The spoiler alert alarm is going and I cannot tell you. All I can say is that all things that end have new beginnings and things move forward. As I've been saying throughout this movie, it's all about status. And some people believe status is a great thing. You see it all around. You see different people showing off with what they've got, you know, and it's just things at the end of the day. We're all level, don't forget. As far as Gilda and the dream of it, which is basically from the Rita Hayworth movie, she believes everybody goes to bed with a dream, the ideal thing that they want, whether it be a person or something else, and they wake up with the reality, which isn't. But if you look around, Gilda's already there. You've got it. If you're happy, live it. If you're not happy, change it. But try and do your best every day, as I keep saying. We go through life and each day is a challenge. Just remember, there's always an up and there's a down. But if you live on the ups most of the time, life's not going to be too bad. The trivia in this movie is really good. You've got the blue door, which belonged to the house in Notting Hill, where Will lived. The house once belonged to Richard Curtis himself, and when the movie had finished, they sold it. The person that bought it decided to get rid of the blue door by auctioning it off so that nobody would take any pictures anymore. Somebody put a big sign up just by the house with an arrow pointing, this is where the blue door was from Notting Hill, the movie, if you want to take pictures. The bench that I talked about in the little green park that they climbed into, the one with the inscription, now lives in Queen's Garden, East Perth, in Australia. And it's in a locked garden, just like the movie. Another bit of trivia, the man walks into the bookshop, sometime in the film, he asks for a John Grisham novel, the latest, if possible. Will says they don't do novels, it's only travel books. But this is a reference to Julia Roberts playing in The Pelican Brief, a novel by John Grisham. There's great music in this movie. You've got Boyzone, you've got Ronan Keating, you've got Al Green, and of course I've already told you that you've got Bill Withers. The movie finishes with Elvis Costello's version of She, which is really good the way to take the movie to the end. I hope you've enjoyed my movie review for today. If you'd like to know where my thoughts and inspirations come from, please click on the links in the bio below and they'll take you for a closer look. If you want to join our community, then please hit the subscription button and strike the bell for notifications if you want to know when the next one's uploaded. Comments are always welcome, drop them below as well, and I will get back to you as and when I can. I've been Jim Black for the Three Hats Stage Media channel for this edition of Pause for Thought. See you again very soon.